A Marvin Harrison Jr. trade rumor involving the Cleveland Browns has absolutely exploded across social media and NFL insider circles on Thursday morning, March 6, 2026. And according to sources who've been investigating the origin and legitimacy of this rumor, the situation is far more complex and far more explosive than just a simple true or false question about whether the Browns are trying to trade for the star wide receiver. The rumor that's driving everyone crazy claims that the Browns have offered the Arizona Cardinals their fourth overall pick, Kyler Murray, and their 2027 first-round pick in exchange for Marvin Harrison Jr. and the Cardinals' 2026 second-round pick, essentially betting that Harrison Jr.'s elite receiving talent is worth more than drafting a quarterback at 4, and that pairing Harrison with whoever ends up being Cleveland's quarterback, whether Wilson, Cousins, or someone else, would immediately upgrade the offense more than any rookie QB could. But here's where this gets absolutely insane and where the fact or fake question becomes impossible to answer cleanly. According to sources who've done deep investigative work on this rumor's origins, the rumor appears to have been deliberately planted by someone with connections to either the Browns or the Cardinals specifically to gauge market reaction and to create negotiating leverage, which means it's technically fake in that no formal offer has been made, but it's also technically fact in that real discussions about this framework have occurred at some level within one or both organizations. And according to sources who've been briefed on the Browns' actual thinking, while Cleveland hasn't made a formal trade offer for Harrison yet, they are genuinely considering whether trading for an elite proven receiver makes more sense than drafting a quarterback or another position at 4, particularly given how chaotic and uncertain their quarterback situation has become. The trade rumor is real enough that sources say Arizona has actually started internal evaluations of whether they'd accept such a deal, but fake enough that nothing is imminent or close to being finalized. This is the most confusing and most strategically interesting rumor of the entire offseason.
The Cardinals' side of the investigation has been similarly murky according to sources who've reached out to Arizona contacts. According to sources, Cardinals personnel have also given the standard no comment on rumors response publicly. But according to sources, privately, some Cardinals sources have acknowledged that the team has received inquiries from multiple teams about Harrison's availability, though these sources wouldn't confirm whether Cleveland specifically made a formal offer or whether the framework being discussed in rumors is accurate. The deeper investigation into the rumor's origins has led sources to believe that it was deliberately planted or leaked by someone with an agenda, according to sources who understand how NFL rumor ecosystems work. According to sources, the most likely scenario is that someone within the Browns organization leaked a version of their internal discussions about whether to pursue Harrison to gauge how fans, media, and other teams would react to such a move. According to sources, teams sometimes use strategic leaks this way as a form of market research, putting information out there to see how it's received before committing to actually making a move. According to sources, Andrew Berry has been running multiple scenarios and trying to project which path gives Cleveland the best chance to actually compete in 2026. And while adding Harrison would obviously make the offense better, giving up the fourth pick means giving up the flexibility to draft a potential franchise quarterback if one is available. The Arizona Cardinals' perspective on whether they would actually trade Marvin Harrison Jr. is complicated by the fact that Harrison is by far their best offensive player, and trading him would signal a complete rebuild, according to sources familiar with Cardinals thinking. According to sources, Arizona just drafted Harrison high in the 2024 draft, and he's been productive during his time with the team, so trading him after just 2 seasons would represent a dramatic shift in organizational direction. But, according to sources, the Cardinals are also in a difficult position where they need to accumulate draft capital and where they might benefit from resetting their entire roster rather than trying to build around expensive players like Harrison.
According to sources who've analyzed Arizona's potential motivations, if the Browns really are offering the 4th overall pick, plus Kyler Murray, plus a future first-rounder, that package would give Arizona the ammunition to completely rebuild through the draft, while also getting younger and cheaper at quarterback by taking Murray back, who they just traded away to Cleveland days ago. According to sources, from Arizona's perspective, the value of the package might be too good to pass up, even though losing Harrison would hurt their offense significantly. The Kyler Murray component of the alleged trade framework is particularly interesting because it would represent Murray going back to Arizona just days after being traded to Cleveland, according to sources who've noted the absurdity of that scenario. According to sources, if this trade actually happened, it would mean Murray was traded from Arizona to Cleveland as part of the package to move up from 10 to 4, and then immediately traded back to Arizona as part of the package to acquire Harrison, essentially making Murray's time in Cleveland last less than a week and making him a trade chip who never actually played for the team that acquired him. According to sources, while this seems bizarre and unlikely, the NFL has seen stranger scenarios, and the logic of using Murray as salary ballast to make the trade work financially for both sides is actually sound. The salary cap implications of the Browns trading Kyler Murray back to Arizona while acquiring Marvin Harrison Jr. would actually help Cleveland's financial situation, according to sources who've analyzed the contracts. According to sources, Murray's expensive contract would go back to Arizona, saving Cleveland approximately $35 million in cap space in 2026. Meanwhile, according to sources, Harrison's rookie contract is relatively cheap, with a cap hit of only about $5 to $6 million in 2026, meaning Cleveland would net approximately $30 million in cap savings from this trade, while also upgrading at wide receiver. According to sources, that cap savings could then be used to sign other free agents or to extend their own players, making the trade attractive from a financial flexibility standpoint. The reaction from NFL analysts and media to the Marvin Harrison Jr. trade rumor has been mixed, with some viewing it as brilliant strategy and others viewing it as more Cleveland chaos, according to sources monitoring media coverage. According to sources, analysts who support the idea of Cleveland trading for Harrison argue that the Browns have tried and failed to develop quarterbacks through the draft for 2 decades, and that maybe they should just accept having a journeyman quarterback and should instead build an elite supporting cast that makes any quarterback look better. According to sources, this school of thought says that Harrison, plus improved offensive line, plus quality defense, could make Cleveland competitive even without a franchise quarterback. But according to sources, analysts who criticize the rumored trade argue that giving up the 4th overall pick for a wide receiver when Cleveland desperately needs a quarterback is classic Browns dysfunction, where they chase short-term solutions rather than addressing the fundamental problem at the most important position. According to sources, these critics say that no matter how good Harrison is, he can't fix the Browns' quarterback situation, and that using valuable
The Marvin Harrison Jr. himself and his representatives' awareness of these trade rumors is confirmed, according to sources who've been in contact with Harrison's camp. According to sources, Harrison's agent has been fielding calls from media members asking about the Browns' rumors, and while the agent is giving standard "we don't comment on speculation" responses, according to sources, the agent is also privately intrigued by the possibility of Harrison going to Cleveland because it would give him a chance to be the clear #1 receiver on a team that desperately needs playmakers, whereas in Arizona, he's competing for targets with other weapons. The realistic timeline for when a potential Marvin Harrison Jr. trade would need to happen, if it's going to happen at all, is relatively short, according to sources familiar with trade mechanics and draft preparation. According to sources, if Cleveland is seriously considering trading the 4th overall pick for Harrison, they would need to finalize such a deal before the draft, because once the draft starts, the value of the pick changes based on who's available and which teams are making offers to trade up. According to sources, teams typically like to finalize major trades involving draft picks in the 7 to 10 days before the draft, which means if this rumor has any legitimacy, we should know within the next week or two whether it's real or just smoke. The alternative interpretation of the Marvin Harrison Jr. trade rumor being fact or fake is that it might not be neither, and instead might represent genuine exploratory discussions that haven't reached the level of formal offers, according to sources who understand how NFL trades develop. According to sources, teams often have preliminary conversations about trade frameworks to gauge interest and to understand what it would take to make a deal, and those conversations sometimes leak and get reported as offers, even though nothing formal has been proposed. According to sources, it's entirely possible that Cleveland and Arizona had preliminary discussions along the lines of what would it take to get Harrison, and Arizona responding, probably your first-round pick plus more, and those discussions then getting leaked and reported as if a specific formal offer had been made. As of now, Thursday afternoon, March 6, 2026, the Marvin Harrison Jr. trade rumor involving the Cleveland Browns exists in a strange limbo where it's impossible to definitively call it fact or fake because the truth appears to be somewhere in between. Real discussions about the concept of such a trade have likely occurred at some level within one or both organizations, but no formal offer appears to have been made, and nothing is close to being finalized. The rumor serves multiple potential strategic purposes, including gauging market reaction, creating negotiating leverage, and potentially forcing other teams to show their hands if they're also interested in Harrison. Whether this rumor eventually results in an actual trade, or whether it fades away as just another piece of NFL off-season speculation, will be determined over the next 7 to 10 days as the draft approaches. But what's undeniable is that the idea of Cleveland trading away their quarterback flexibility and draft positioning to acquire an elite receiver represents exactly the kind of short-term thinking and desperation that has characterized the Browns' decision-making throughout this chaotic offseason. Whether genius or madness, whether fact or fake, the Marvin Harrison Jr. trade rumor has succeeded in making everyone in the NFL world talk about Cleveland and Arizona and what kind of crazy deal might be coming next. The Marvin Harrison Jr. trade rumor claims Browns offered pick number 4, Kyler Murray,